The latest research in the field of anxiety shows that much of the anxiety we experience is a result of personal habits. So a way of living that causes unneeded and unwanted stress. This is exciting news because we have control over our habits. But my next guest points out that some of our habits are hidden, and then that becomes the challenge. How can we uncover the hidden habits that drain us? Studio 5 relationship contributor Dr. Matt Townsend is going to explain. Hey, friend,
how are
you
you?
have a personal experience that sort of helps illustrate this idea of hidden habits.
We got a bill once, a water bill, that was 50 times bigger than our average water bill.
Oh my gosh.
And we were like, what? This is crazy. They don't know what they're talking about. So the city came out and they investigated, and they found out that a water fountain, a drinking fountain in our backyard that somebody had put in 10 years earlier, 20 years earlier, had been leaking and drained a ton of drinking water into the dirt underneath our backyard.
And that cost you.
And that cost us a lot of money.
Yeah.
And right then I realized, how could something so awesome, a drinking fountain, like for the kids, be draining our pockets, draining our life without any of us knowing? We didn't even, there was no water anywhere to be found.
No pool, no puddle.
It just went into the great soil.
So that's the challenge at hand.
We've all got it.
If we want to alleviate the anxiety, we've got to find those hidden drains.
Hidden drains. Every one of us have got them. They're sucking the life out of us. Most of us don't even think about them because they're automatic habits and ways of just being. So I've kind of put together 5 different, I don't know, profiles, and we're gonna go through and see which one you have and is it quietly draining you.
This first one we'll cue up with a clip. You're calling it the Feed Me Seymour syndrome. So here's a clip to give it context from Little Shop of Horrors.
Feed me Seymour, feed me all night long.
Never gets old, never gets old.
No.
Okay, so explain this Feed Me Seymour.
We're the plant, and we are just demanding people feed us more and more stimulation every day. We can't go on a walk without listening to a podcast and texting our friend. So it's all good. It's all good, but we are constantly feeding more and more stimulation into our lives, and that stimulation has a cost, and it's a cost that's gonna drain you. So at some point, we gotta learn to quit asking to be fed and almost create space and have a little fast in our lives, right? Seymour eventually was starting to eat people, and eventually Seymour had to be destroyed in order for everyone else around him to create happiness. So we've got to learn to stop overstimulating.
It does
We've got to
concern
turn
me.
stuff off.
Like the number of people walking around, listening, groceries. I was trying to, I tried to say hi to them at the grocery store, and they've got a podcast in their ears.
It's easy to fix.
Yeah, you're right.
Go on a walk without your podcast.
With your own thoughts.
And just learn to meditate and learn to just sit, and don't constantly have to do more and more and more. Just because our world offers more options doesn't mean we need to do them all.
All right, next the question to ask is, am I an overdoer?
Some people have this inclination to just keep doing more and more and more things, to keep validating who they are, to keep being the best they can. A lot of them are perfectionists. They get asked to bring a dozen cookies to some event, and they go call their best friend, track down a recipe they've never done before, stress in the kitchen, make 4 dozen cookies, bring the cookies, and then give cookies to all of your friends for some reason that's validating something.
And we did this all to ourselves.
All to ourselves. And without knowing that you're an overdoer. So with each one of these, start noticing, why do you do it? And more importantly, what do you feel when you're overstimulated? What do you feel when you have to do more and more and more to just get the same result out of life? Because once you notice what you feel, the research shows your brain actually reprioritizes the game. If it doesn't like being an overdoer and you consciously notice it, you can stop doing it, and your brain won't need to do it as much as you tend to.
It's a lesson I think matriarchs in particular have to learn. If I'm going to go the extra mile, it has to be for me. Like, it has to be for me. All right, a couple minutes left. Am I an underdoer?
Underdoer is just the opposite of the overdoer. They don't want to do anything, right? They really have had it. They're tired of everything. They're avoiding everything. They spend their entire life trying to dodge responsibility. That in and of itself is going to drain you because you never accomplish you.
Just return the call.
Yeah, return the call.
Send
just
the
get
text.
it done.
Yeah.
Magnify your strengths. Be the person you're supposed to be. Get used to delivering something once in a while and move on.
Am I a naysayer?
Are you a naysayer? Are you just that negative, nitpicking cynic? Do you just have to keep bringing up the negative? Do you look everywhere for what's not working, and when you find it, you're just amazed, and then you got to share it with everybody? The downside to the negative, the benefit of the naysayer, by the way, they actually get taken advantage of a lot less. Downside, they die early. So it's not healthy. Nobody wants to be around you. One of the signs you're a naysayer is people aren't around you. You're not having as many friends, which, by the way, makes you more cynical. We're always doing these things to protect ourselves.
All right, and finally, 30 seconds. Am I a perpetual pleaser?
Are you saying yes to everything? Do you say yes to everything and then hate that you have to do all those things?
I've had to learn this lesson.
So at some point, you got to learn to say no, because if you don't, it's constantly draining you. And in reality, the pleasing is just supposedly to be loved by people. But the only person you need to learn to be loved by if you're a pleaser is yourself. You're enough. You're doing plenty. Go figure out why you tend to please or why you do any of these things, and then just start to find a way to do a little shift so we stop draining our most important assets.
This was such a good pep talk, Matt. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Brooke.
Before we say goodbye, tell us about your Becoming One program.
Killing it in Becoming One. We talk about all of these things. We give tools. It's just a really affordable subscription. You get on, you get a bunch of videos of me every month. You get free coaching. You get coaching calls with me. Tons of tools, videos to watch to become one with yourself, one with your God, one with each other. It's a pretty powerful
One
tool.
of the best things you've done, I'll say. MattTownsend.com is where you go for that easy access program, and we'll link you from our website. Thanks again.
Thanks, Brooke.